Hey guys, I'm Nicole. I am so excited to be back on here. It's been about a month since I've posted or recorded anything specifically for YouTube. And I so appreciate all of your loving and sweet and encouraging messages over on Instagram, encouraging me to get back on here. I do plan on being a lot more present this winter, which I know I've shared in the past. Summer is really busy for me with photography work, and then in the winter I get to focus primarily on yoga. So you'll see a lot more of me. Today's going to be a 45-minute sequence, which has come requested by a lot of people, that we have something between 30 and 60 minutes. So we're just going to jump in. Today's going to be playful. There'll definitely be some challenging components, but I'll give options as much as I can, as always. And I'll throw in some arm balance, transitions, and options as well. We're going to get moving pretty quick, and then I'll lead us into some meditation, shavasana, more stillness towards the end of practice. So we're going to start let's just start in a tabletop. Let's just dive into movement. All right. The tabletop, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Your fingers are spread, but not wide enough that you're causing tension in the hands. And then let's start to take some big circles on the wrists. And then switch direction of the circles. I think it's so important that we get into our wrists before we do a full practice, and especially with arm balances. Okay, let's find our way back through neutral. Come up onto the fingertips, so palms are lifted. We're tenting out the hands. And then exhale, round through the back body, tucking tailbone down, chin pulls in towards chest. And it's as if you're trying to press the back of the heart up towards the sky. And then come back to neutral. We're going to take a big step forward with the hands, melting the heart down to the floor for puppy pose. Really big shoulder opener, one of my favorite heart openers. So the idea in this shape is that the heart would reach the floor before the chin would, hypothetically. Not always the case. See if you can engage all 10 finger pads, knuckle pads down into the floor. We're going to keep the hands rooted where they're at. The knees are going to stay where they're at. We're just going to start by tucking the tailbone and then kind of roll up the spine all the way through to either seal pose with the elbows lifted or Sphinx pose with the elbows down. If the elbows are down, they're directly underneath the shoulders. Listen to the low back here. We're super early on in the practice, so the spine really isn't warmed up yet. Pull the shoulders together on the back body so the heart is threading through. One more breath here. Big inhale. And then on your exhale, let's soften the heart back down to the floor. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to curl onto the right toes and then bring the left leg out into a half frog shape. So just a moment here, kind of a gentle hip opener for the left side. We're going to ground into the right knee and then pressing into the hands, let's lift into a tabletop position, but keep the left leg out to the left, if that makes sense. And then on your exhale, we're going to swing the left knee behind the right knee and send the hips back towards the heels. So hips towards the back of the mat, getting some hip opening to start out our movement today. Using your inhale, let's roll back up through center, round through the back body as you come up. Unravel the left knee to tap the left shoulder, and then step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Come up onto fingertips to start. And we're actually going to walk the hands off to the top right corner of the mat here. Drop the weight of the head. You might even start to get some length into the left side body. And inhale to walk the hands back through center. Keep the right knee grounded. Kick the left leg long behind you. We're going to bend into the elbows, lowering the chin and chest to the floor. Left heel pulls up towards sky. Left glutes are engaged. And then grounding into finger pads and knuckle pads, press back up. As you do, lift the right knee from the floor and pull the left knee to nose. Press floor away from you to create space in the back body. And then step the left foot all the way through. Right foot steps forward to the top of the mat, forward fold, Uttanasa, Uttanasana. Clasp opposite elbows and sway side to side. Dropping the head, maybe chin in towards chest, roll out the back of the neck. And then releasing the hands down, one vertebrae at a time. Let's roll our way up through standing. Head and neck last to lift. Arms extend up overhead at the top. Engage into the glutes and add a little baby back bend, so heart opens towards sky. And then with your exhale, come right back down, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, lengthen the spine, crown of the head reaches forward, and then with your exhale, plant the hands, step back into a high plank. Wrists underneath the shoulders. Shift forward, shift back. So we're getting into the wrists, now also the ankles, the feet, the calves, and starting to build some heat in the core. Let the elbows graze the rib cage as we lower all the way down to the belly. Staying tucked onto the left toes, bring the right leg out to a half frog. So in a half frog shape, the right knee is in line with the right hip, and then the right ankle is in line 90-degree with the right knee. So just a little bit of a hip opener for a moment, one breath here. And then we're going to root down into the left knee. We're going to keep the right leg out to the side and come up into a tabletop position with the right leg out. Fire hydrant, is that a pose that I'm making up the name of? Swing the right leg around, so moving the femur head in the hip socket, right knee behind the left knee, and then send the hips to the back of the mat, towards the heels. Opening up into the outer hips, but we're also lengthening out the low back here. With your next inhale, let's come back up through center, wrists underneath shoulders. Unravel the right knee to tap the right shoulder, so outside of the right arm, compressing the hip joint, and then step the right foot to the outside of the right hand, sending hips down and forward, come up onto the fingertips. You're pulling the heart through to the front of the room. And then as you're ready for it, we're gonna just walk the hands off to the top left corner of the mat and letting the kind of upper body sink down, the head release, the jaw release. Maybe even open mouth exhale if that feels good. And then walking the hands back in through center, curl onto the left toes to lift the left knee. Oh, I'm wrong here. Drop the left knee back down. We're gonna kick the right leg back, right foot back. Wrists are underneath the shoulders. Bend into the elbows to lower the chin and chest towards the floor. Right glutes are engaged, pull the right heel high. And then as we press back up, let's lift the left knee from the mat and pull the right knee to nose. And then step the right foot all the way through. Left foot steps forward to the top of the mat. Walk the feet wider than hip width distance, and then we'll drop the hips, bending the knees for a yogi squat. So palms come to touch at the heart. Press the elbows into the knees back into the elbows so that we're tractioning the spine really tall. Crown of the head is reaching towards sky. Just one more breath here. We're gonna pick up our pace in a moment. So big inhale. Open the mouth for the exhale. And as you're ready for it, lift the hips. Walk the feet back to hip width distance apart. And then one vertebrae at a time, let's roll our way up to standing. Head and neck, last to lift. Arms extend up overhead at the top. Palms touch. Engage into the glutes and then a little baby back bend here. Open up the heart space. Only go as far as feels supported in the low spine. Inhale to release the back bend. With your exhale, fold forward, diving the heart to the tops of the thighs. With your inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. With your breath, exhale, release, plant hands, step back into a high plank, and we'll pause here. Wrists under shoulders. Shift forward and back. Last time, moving into the wrists and into the ankles and into the feet, firing up the core. And then finding our way back through neutral, we're gonna start to build some heat pretty quickly here. Bend into the elbows until you've lowered halfway down Chaturanga Dandasana. Knees can drop if you need. Lift the right toes to a hover above the floor. Keep the right foot lifted as you press back up, and then kick the right foot back, three-legged down dog. On your exhale, shift forward. Right knee taps right elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale to the left elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale, knee to nose. Keep the wrists underneath the shoulders. Now kick the right foot back, three-legged plank. On your exhale, right toes are lifted, lower halfway, pause. So we're back to our Chaturanga, right toes lifted shape, and then pull through to an up dog. Roll the shoulders onto the back body. On your exhale, send the hips up and back, downward facing. On your next exhale, one vertebrae at a time, let's roll the spine forward. So rolling out the dog, landing in your high plank. And then bend into the knees, let the tailbone pull the hips back. So rolling out the dog 2 more times. Exhale, roll forward. Bend into the knees, let the tailbone pull the hips back. Last one, exhale, roll forward, pause in your high plank. And then on your next exhale, we halfway lower, pause, hover. Lift the left toes an inch above the floor. Right knee can drop if you need. Let's press back up, 3-legged plank, and then pull the left toes back, 3-legged down dog. On your exhale, shift forward, left knee, left elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale to the right elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale, knee to nose. Pause and hold it. Press the floor away to create space. And then again, wrists stay underneath the shoulders. Just kick the left foot back into a 3-legged plank. Take a big in-breath here. Next exhale, halfway lower, hover, pause, and then pull through to your up dog. Shoulders onto back body. And on your exhale, send the hips up and back, downward facing. Whew, big exhale here, let it feel good. Then we're gonna walk the hands to the back of the mat. Feet are hip width distance. Take as much of a bend in the knees as you need to bring the palms underneath the feet. So again, giving the wrists a little bit of a break. Maybe pulling the elbows back towards the shins to get even more of a stretch in the tops of the wrists. Maybe you play with pedaling out the feet, warming up into the hamstrings. And then gently release the hands. And on your inhale, let's roll up the spine. So just as we've done, one vertebrae at a time, take it slow. Arms extend up overhead, palms come to touch, gaze to the fingers. And then on your exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale to halfway lift, lengthen out the spine. On your exhale, release, plant the hands, walk forward, high plank. Lower halfway down, pause, hold it. And then on your inhale, press up, high plank. 2 more, exhale, halfway, hover. Inhale, high plank. Last one, hover, pause, hold, and then pull through to your up dog. Rolling shoulders onto back body. On your exhale, send the hips up and back. Downward facing. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's move through a couple rounds of Sun A. On your next exhale, step, walk, hop, or handstand to the top of the mat, finding your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Open the mouth, exhale, let it go. Inhale, rise, come through standing, palms touch, little back bend. And then exhale brings you right back down, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, release, plant the hands. We're gonna play with a hop straight into a chaturanga. So plant the hands. If this doesn't feel available, just step back. By the time your toes hit the back of the mat, the elbows are bent to a 90 degree. And then pull through up dog. On your exhale, send the hips up and back, downward facing. Again, you can always skip the flows. You can always just simply step back. Give yourself what you need. Exhale, step, walk, hop, or float to the top of the mat, forward fold. Rebound, half lift. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, rise. Come through standing, palms touch. Back bend if it feels good. And exhale, right back down. Inhale to halfway lift, lengthen out the spine. Exhale, release, plant the hands. Maybe you hop back again, or maybe this time you add on a crow pose. Knees to the backs of the arms, maybe one foot lifts, maybe both feet lift. If you have your crow pose, hold for a cycle of breath or so. Don't rush through it. Meet the place where you're building strength. And then from there, you can either step back, you can hop back, you can play with lifting one knee off the back of the arm and stepping back, high plank. Take a moment to find your breath so we're not rushing through it. When you're ready for it, maybe you move through your vinyasa, or maybe you've already beat me there, and we meet back, downward dog. All right, we're gonna take one more round just like that. Exhale the feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to let it go. Inhale to rise. Come through, standing, palms touch. A little back bend if you want it. And then exhale, fold right back down. In breath to halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to release, planting hands, either hop back, step back, crow pose, whatever it is that you want to take along your way to vinyasa or simply straight back to a downward dog. Whatever movement you take along the way, see if you can connect it to the breath. All right, we're gonna move into our first sequence. On your next exhale, ripple spine forward, high plank. We've been here before. Elbows bend as you lower, halfway hover. Lift the right toes. Press back up as you kick the right foot back, three-legged down dog. On your exhale, right knee to the right elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale to the left elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale, right knee to nose, step the foot all the way through. Left hand stays down, right fingertips peel, opens your spinning heart towards sky. Start to spin to the outside edges of the feet to drop the left hip down. Right fingertips to point towards the back of the mat. So you're on the outside edge of the left foot here. We're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep the outside edge of the left foot as we lift the hips, right fingertips sweep to the front of the room. And then take a big step back with the right toes, landing all the way into your wild thing. So hips and heart press high, right shoulder rolls onto the back body. As we come back through center, we're gonna plant the right hand on the mat and pull the right knee back into the chest, stepping the foot all the way through. This time, pivoting to the left, Skandasana. So hips are on top of right heel, left leg is straight, left toes point up. Oh, I now have deodorant on my knee from crow pose. Whoops. So dropping hips down, maybe you bring palms to touch at the heart. On your next inhale, warrior two to the back of the mat. It's okay if I'm moving you away from the computer screen. So right foot is parallel to the, now the back of your mat. Reach the fingertips long. On your inhale, reverse the warrior, right hand, right thigh, left arm comes up and over. And then exhale to cartwheel the hands. Frame out the left foot, shift to the ball of the right foot. We're gonna drop the right knee down to the mat as you kick the left foot back, three-legged table. Bend into the elbows, lower chin and chest to the floor. And then exhale, press up. Lift the right knee as you pull left knee to nose. All right, pause here and hold for a moment. I'm moving pretty quickly this morning, or whatever time it is, wherever you're at. Let's kick the left foot back all the way to your three-legged down dog. And then drop the left foot next to the right. And on your exhale, roll the spine forward, high plank. Wrists underneath the shoulders. Take a big step forward with both hands. So hollowing out the plank pose. Glutes are super strong here. Big inhales, big exhales. And then soften the knees to the floor, untuck the toes, and roll through once again, either to your seal pose or lowering the elbows to the floor for Sphinx. On your next exhale, let's lower the heart back down to the floor. Hands slide underneath the shoulders. Curl onto the toes. We'll press all the way up, high plank. And then exhale, roll the hips back, downward dog. Okay, we get to do that same funky thing on the second side. Starting with, on your exhale, roll the spine forward, landing in your high plank. Lower halfway down and hover. Lift the left toes above the mat, left foot is flexed. And then press back up as you kick the left foot back, three-legged down dog. On your exhale, shift forward, left knee, taps left elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. Inhale to kick back. Exhale, knee to nose. Pause and hold, press the floor away and step the left foot all the way through. Right hand stays down as left fingertips peel open. We're twisting heart towards sky. And then start to shift to the outside edges of both feet and let the right hip drop down. Left fingertips to point towards what is now the back of your mat. Okay, we're on the outside edge of the right foot. We're gonna keep that, but lift the hips back up. Sweep left fingertips to the front of the room. So pull the hips as high as you can here, like you're creating a rainbow shape. And then press into the outside edge of the right foot as you move the left toes to behind you, opening up to Wild Thing. Hips and heart press high, glutes engage. All right, we're gonna make our way through a plank shape. Left hand down to the mat. Pull the left knee into the chest and step the foot all the way through. Now we're pivoting to the right, Skandasana. Hips on top of left heel, right leg is straight, right toes point up. This is a super funky flow already. Maybe lift palms to touch at the heart. But we're keeping the hips heavy so that we're going for a stretch in the inner right thigh and opening up the hips here. On your inhale, we're gonna move back to the top of the mat, so back to the front where we started. Right foot plants, Virabhadrasana 2. Left foot is parallel to the back edge of the mat. Reach long through the fingertips. With your inhale here, reverse the warrior. Left hand down the back of the left thigh. Right arm comes up and over. And then on your exhale, cartwheel the hands. Framing out right foot. Shift to the ball of the left foot. We're gonna drop the left knee down. And then kick the right toes back, three-legged table. Elbows bend as you lower chin and chest to the floor. Left heel pulls up high. And then as you press back up, lift the left knee from the mat and pull the right knee into the chest. And then kick the right foot back, three-legged down dog. On your exhale, drop the right foot next to the left foot. Take a big in-breath here. And then we're gonna ripple the spine forward, landing in our high plank, wrists underneath the shoulders. One more time, step forward with the hands, hollowing out the plank shape. Again, tailbone tucks, glutes are really strong here, glutes are engaged. Press the floor away from you. And then on your exhale, soften the knees down to the floor, untuck the toes, roll through either to your seal pose or to your Sphinx pose. But again, be really mindful of the low back. If there's tension there, then you drop the elbows down, or you even walk the arms out longer in front of you. One more cycle of breath here. And then on your exhale, we'll soften the heart back down to the floor. Slide the hands back underneath the shoulders. Curl onto the toes. With the knees either grounded onto the mat or lifted, we're gonna press all the way back up, high plank. And then roll the hips back, downward dog. Couple big cycles of breath here before we move into our main sequence. All right, last cycle of breath. I'm gonna throw some really funky transitions and some challenging arm balance transitions into this next sequence, and I encourage you to do what you can, and don't be discouraged if it's not all available to you at the moment. Modify as you need, make something up. It doesn't have to look like a yoga pose. It doesn't have to look like exactly what I'm offering. Okay, on your inhale, sweep the right toes high. Bend the knee for a moment to open up the hip. Think of pointing right knee directly up towards sky. And then on your exhale, we're just gonna shift forward, bringing right knee to the left elbow. And then straighten out the right leg, setting the outside edge of the foot on the floor. Both hands are gonna stay planted to start, and we're just gonna alternate between bending and straightening through the front and back legs. So as you bend into the left knee, right leg straightens, and then bend into the right knee, left leg straightens. We've done these before, just getting into the outer right hip. And then coming back through stillness, we're gonna straighten out through both legs, spin the left foot flat, and then open the left fingertips up towards sky, pulling hips up towards ceiling for fallen star. Okay, this is where it starts to get pretty funky. We're gonna press into the outside edge of the right foot, and then work towards bringing the left knee up into the left armpit, and step the left foot all the way to the top of the mat, framing out the left foot with the hands. Once you're here, for a moment, sink the hips low. And then we're gonna sweep the right toes up towards sky, finding your standing split. So we'll meet in our standing split. It's totally fine if you've gotten there in a different variation of transitions. Shift the right hip down. We're gonna walk the fingertips out just a little bit, and then shift our weight into the left toes, so left heel lifts from the mat. And on your exhale, pull the right knee to nose and round through the back body so much that it's like you're trying to press the back of the heart into a wall that's behind you. Stay on the left toes, kick the right foot high. And then on your exhale, round through the back body, pull the right knee in. Inhale to kick the right toes high. Last one on your exhale, right knee to nose. We're gonna pull the right leg all the way through, shifting the hips down to a pistol squat. Maybe you're still on the ball of the left foot, or maybe you can work the left heel towards the floor. Hands can be to props here if you need some extra support or some extra height. Maybe you play with bringing palms to touch at the heart. Another option that I'm gonna give is that your right peace fingers hold onto the right big toe, which is actually kind of cheating. Left fingertips can either come to the floor to help you, or you can bring the left hand to the left hip. We're gonna come all the way through standing, bringing the right leg with you. Pull the right arm bone back so that it plugs into the shoulder socket. And then let's open the right leg off to the right side of the mat. Left arm comes out to a T, spine is super tall here. And then on your exhale, we're gonna bend into both knees, delivering the right ankle to the left knee and send the hips back. Palms come to touch at the heart. Heart sinks towards the thighs. Couple of options here, and I'm gonna lead us into some arm balance transitions. Again, give yourself what you need, do what you can. Option number one is to stay right here. Option number two is to lower hands down towards the mat. If you've got the fingertips to the floor, you can start to work into planting the palms to the floor, the right knee to the top of the right arm, kind of towards the armpit like you would for crow pose. Really important that right toes wrap around left bicep. And then maybe you lift the left toes from the floor, pulling heel in towards glutes. Maybe you extend the left foot high. I'm gonna keep going with options. Again, give yourself what you need. We can transition into crow pose by working the left knee to the back of the left arm, and then releasing the right toes and pulling the heels in towards the glutes. All right, so we've landed potentially in crow pose, and maybe you're transitioning to crow pose in another way. You can make something up. And then where we go from here is any transition that you'd like into downward dog. So you could step back, hop back, float up towards handstand, take a vinyasa. It can be pretty, it can be sloppy. Meeting with the hips back, downward dog. All right, on your exhale, let's walk the hands to the back of the mat. Staying folded forward, interlace all 10 fingers, and let's just roll out the wrists for a moment. Very wrist-heavy sequence. Giving them a little break before we do the second side. Release fingertips down towards floor, one vertebrae at a time. Let's roll up, finding our way to standing. Arms extend up overhead at the top. Let the right hand catch the left wrist, lift up and out of the waist, and then lean over to the right. So we're lengthening out down the left side body. Inhale to come back up through center. Left hand grabs the right wrist, lift up and out of the waist, and lean over to the left. Inhale to come back through center. Circle the hands around the back to interlace at the low back. Take a little bend into the knees, lift the tailbone, open the heart. And then keeping this interlace of the hands on your exhale, dive the heart forward, Uttanasana, but keeping the hands clasped. And let's release the hands back down towards the mat. We're just gonna walk ourselves back forward into a down dog. Dropping the head, soften the jaw, and then we're gonna do that whole sequence on the second side. It's a tough one, but it's kind of a quick one too. Inhale, sweep the left toes high. On your exhale, let's start here by bending the knee and opening up the hip as if you're trying to point the left knee up towards ceiling. So that's kind of an active pull. On your exhale, left knee comes across the body to the right elbow. And then straighten out through the left leg, setting outside edge of the foot to the floor. So wrists are underneath the shoulders, press the floor away from you, and then take a bend into the right knee. And then as you straighten the right leg, bend into the left knee. So moving back and forth here, and this might be a really small movement. It's okay if it's not a big bend in the knees. And just enough that you feel some opening in the outer hip, left hip, but that you're not compromising the knee joint. All right, straighten out through both legs. Spin the right foot flat, and then right fingertips peel open into our fallen star. So here's our first super funky transition. Outside edge of the left foot glues itself to the mat. We're going to shift the right knee, lift the right knee up towards the right armpit. And then either one big step or several little ones. Right foot steps to the top of the mat next to the left hand. Fingertips to the floor. Drop the hips really low for a moment. It's almost like a dragon squat. And then pull the left toes up towards sky, meeting in your standing split. Again, moment to settle into this shape. Maybe you hover fingertips for a moment. And left glutes engaged to pull the left foot towards sky. And then fingertips are going to walk out just a little bit in front of you. And on your next exhale, we're going to bend into the left knee and pull the knee to nose as you do active round through the back body. Inhale to kick up. Left toes sweep high. Oh, I forgot something. Guys, I'm rusty. It's been a month. Let's shift onto our right toes first. That's what we were missing. So right heel lifts. And then on your exhale, pull the left knee to nose. So staying on the ball of the right foot, left knee to nose. Micro bend in the right knee so the joint space is protected. Now kick the left toes high. And on your exhale, knee to nose. Left knee pulls in. Last one, inhale to kick the left foot high. On your exhale, left knee pulls into the chest. We're coming all the way through to a pistol squat. So hips drop down onto the right foot, and right heel might be lifted still, or you can work the right heel towards the floor. Maybe palms to touch at heart, or hands to blocks if you need support. Option to bring left peace fingers around the left big toe. Right fingertips either to the floor or right hand to the right hip. And however you need to get there, we're going to play with grounding into our right foot and coming all the way up to standing, keeping hold of the left foot. It's also totally fine if there's a bend in the left knee here. Pull the left arm bone back so it plugs into the shoulder socket. And then on your exhale, open the left leg off to the left side of the mat. So lengthening out the left inner thigh, opening up the hip. Right arm can come out to a T. Tall through the spine. And then as you're ready for it, bend into both knees. Left ankle stacks on top of the right knee as you send the hips back and the heart forward. Really normal if one side of the body is totally different from the other in these stretches, or really in any of it, in the strength too. You might lean forward with the upper body. We're just getting some opening in the hip before we play. And as you're ready for it, you can stay here, or you can plant the hands. Wrap the left toes around the right arm, and then maybe you start to hover right foot from the floor. Maybe you kick the right toes back. Maybe you play with the transition into crow, right knee to the back of the right arm. That was not as graceful on this side for me, which is okay. So however you've landed in your crow pose or wherever else you've taken the sequence, next place we meet is in our down dog. So it could be a step back, a hop back, a handstand, a float, a child's pose. And then on your exhale, we meet back in a downward dog. And drop the head, chin in towards chest, lengthening out the back of the neck. And then on your exhale, let's roll the spine forward, landing in our high plank. And elbows bend to lower us all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes. Hands come to interlace at the low back. We're going to squeeze the heels and the inner thighs together. And then on your inhale, lift everything up from the mat. So heels lift, shoulders lift, heart pulls through to the front of the room. And if you've still got this clasp of the hands, play with lifting the hands up and away from the glutes. Lifting back of the heart up towards sky. So this is a really strong shape through the entire back body. Squeeze the heels together. And on your exhale, release back down. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders, curl onto the toes. We'll press all the way back up, high plank, and then roll the hips back. Downward dog. Inhale to sweep right toes high. On your exhale, step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Drop the hips down, drop the left knee down. You can either stay on the hands or you could lower down to forearms or bring forearms to a prop of some sort. We're not gonna hang for super long, but several cycles of breath. You have the option, if it's available, of bending into the left knee and maybe even reaching the right hand around for the left toes. If that causes tension in either knee, then definitely let it go. And then releasing the left toes if you've got them. Let's press back up to the hands. Lift the left knee from the mat, and then from this shape, we're just gonna pivot to the left, walking the feet parallel to the ends of the mat. Okay, so I'm gonna give us a couple of options here. First and foremost is just letting upper body hang heavy and enjoying the stretch. Maybe hands are on the floor, maybe hands are on the legs, maybe kind of the head reaches the floor. Couple of little tips. If the head is almost to the floor and you want it there, you can walk the feet a little wider apart. If you feel like the head is reaching the floor pretty easily and you want more of a stretch, you can walk the feet a little closer together. And I'm going to give us the option to either hang out right here or add on a little bit of headstand drills, which will also translate to pretty much any inversion that you do. So if you've got a headstand in your practice or you feel comfortable playing with it, we're going to create a basket shape with the hands. Crown of the head to the floor in between the hands. So you're kind of nestling the back of the head into the hands. And then start to shift your weight forward onto the toes and see if maybe you can just hover your feet above the floor just an inch and then let them back down. 2 more times, lift just an inch. That was more than an inch. And then back down. And then last one, maybe you lift an inch or maybe you straddle press up. Make sure you're pressing the floor away from you with the forearm so you're not putting too much weight in the head. And then reverse straddle back down. Totally fine if you're not with my pace. Don't let the feet come all the way to the floor. Just bring them to a hover and then press back up. Once you're up, heels squeeze together, inner thighs squeeze together. One more time. Straddle press back down. Hover the feet an inch above the mat. And then keeping the hips where they're at, just bend into the knees and pull the big toes together, creating a diamond shape. Keep pressing the floor away from you with the forearms. Totally fine if you fall out and come back in. Come back into our straddle, legs out. One more time all the way up, squeezing heels together, inner thighs together. And then as slow as you can, we're gonna straddle all the way back down and gently place the feet back down to the floor. All right, on your inhale, halfway lift and lengthen the spine. So crown of the head reaches forward. I thought there was a spider on me and I jumped. It was not a spider. Exhale, release back down. Pivot to the back of the mat today, guys. Pivot to the back of the mat, so you're away from the camera again, totally fine, or away from the computer. Drop the right knee down. We found our runner's lunge on the second side. So you can either stay on the hands, or you can lower to the forearms, or bring forearms to a prop, or you can lower even farther than the forearms and make your way towards the belly. And again, you have the option, if you want it, of bending into the right knee and reaching the left hand around to hold on to the right toes. Big inhales, big exhales. And then releasing the right toes if you've got them. Let's press back up to the hands. Lift the right knee from the mat. And then pivot back to the right into our wide-legged straddle. This time, hands interlace at the base of the skull. Pull the chin in towards the chest. Walk the feet close enough together that the head is not on the floor. And then we're just going to find a little bit of a pulse here. So really pull the chin in towards the chest. And we're pulsing the heart towards the thighs. Getting length all the way into the back of the neck and the base of the skull. If you don't feel this in the back body, see if you can round the upper body even a little more.
And then keeping the hands to interlace, let's come to stillness in the upper body. And one vertebrae at a time, we're going to roll up the spine. Keep pulling the chin in towards chest as you come up. Once you're up, toes point out slightly. Engage the glutes, open heart towards sky. Elbows pull apart and down towards the back of the mat. Inhale to come back up through center. Release the hands. Bend into the knees for a moment, bringing the hands to the knees. We'll take a really big in-breath here. And then on your exhale, we're just going to twist to the left, dropping right shoulder down. Inhale to come back through center. Exhale over to the left, or twisting to the right, left shoulder drops. Inhale to come back through center. Straighten out the legs, dive the heart forward, and then we'll pivot back to the top of the mat. Step back into your high plank. Last opportunity for a vinyasa if you want it. And we will meet in our final down dog. Movement with breath even here. Sending the hips up and back. And soften the knees to the floor. Cross over the ankles to come all the way into a seat. And we will extend the legs out long. Toes pull back, spine is super tall. On your inhale, let's reach the arms up overhead. So we're lifting up and out of the waist, and then use your exhale to hinge forward. Hands can land anywhere along the legs, or maybe they reach the feet, maybe hands to the floor. Drop the head, chin in towards chest. Taking 2 or so more cycles of breath right here. And then using your next inhale, let's come back up through center. Bend into the knees, bringing the bottoms of the feet together. We're going to hold on to the big toes. Spine is really tall here. So lifting up and out of the waist, and then once more on your exhale, dive the heart forward. Pressing elbows into knees, knees towards the mat. Inhale to come back up through center. Keep the knees bent, plant the feet. Fingertips extend forward, and then using the strength of the core, we're just going to roll down the back body, landing all the way onto the back. And once you're down, I'm scooching down on my mat. You might need to also. Once you're down, pull the knees into the chest. And we'll take a little rock side to side. Maybe some small circles on the low back. And we're really just going to make our way towards Shavasana. So right knee stays in, extend the left leg long. Left toes flex back to help keep the back of the leg glued to the mat. Let's drop the right arm out either to a cactus or into a T, and on your exhale, guide the right knee over the body. So finding your supine twist, right shoulder is engaged with the floor, but you have the option here of bringing the left hand to the outside edge of the right foot, and you might even play with straightening out through the right leg. So again, bringing even more of a stretch to the outer right hip and into the IT band. Make sure that the right shoulder is touching the floor, and then maybe you bring the gaze over to the right hand. And then using your inhale, come back through center. And we will swap it out. Left knee pulls in, right leg reaches long. So squeezing left thigh in towards left rib cage. And then drop the left arm out to a T or to a cactus. And on your exhale, find the twist. And again, you can either hang out right here, or right hand could find its way to the outside edge of left foot. Maybe you play with straightening out the leg. Keep spinning the heart to the left, left shoulder to the mat, and then maybe bring the gaze over to the left hand. And then using your inhale, come back through center. Both knees pull into the chest one last time. And at this point, you are more than welcome to add in any other movements that feel good before settling into Shavasana. If you wanted shoulder stand or a back bend. And eventually we land all the way down onto the back. Arms out by the sides, palms face up. And allow for the eyes to close. And let the weight of the body soften and release into the floor. And notice any thinking that's happening in the mind space, and see if you can simply encourage yourself back to breath and back to stillness. It has been requested by several of you that I be quiet during Shavasana, which actually makes me really happy. So a couple of minutes in silence, and I encourage you to stay and to close the eyes and to simply connect right here. And before you open the eyes and before you invite in any movement, offer yourself one really deep and intentional breath here. So emptying the lungs completely, and then a long and full inhale through the nose. Pause at the top of your inhale and hold it. Maybe you sip in even a little more. And then open the mouth for the exhale and release. And give yourself as much time as you have and as much time as you need to linger in this space. And when you're ready, you might start to wiggle fingers and toes, keeping the eyes closed for now. You could roll out the wrists and the ankles. You could extend arms up over the head for a full body stretch. Kicking through heels, reaching through fingers. And then pulling the knees back in towards chest. Maybe rolling off onto a side. No rush, totally fine if you're not with my cues. Keep the eyes closed though for as much of the transition up as you can. We're going to meet back up in a comfortable seat. Take the time to set the tone for how you will carry yourself off of your mat and into the rest of your day, evening, week, weekend. Hands can either meet in front of the heart or they can stay resting where they are resting. And thank you so much, as always, for moving with me. Have a beautiful rest of your day, evening, week, weekend, whatever it is, wherever you are. Namaste. Thank you, guys.